Hey, Tracy.
Yeah. What's up?
Hey, how do I minimize my agenda?
Okay, so just go up to the black and grab it. I think it's black. Or no, the white bar. The white bar above the black. So you see the black bar where it says open with Google Docs? You see that? There's a little white bar above that. Grab that. You're muted again. I don't hear you, Kristen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Did you find it?
I do. It's just making everybody really
Ron.
And Ron. Yep.
Hi, Chris.
How you doing, Dennis?
Good.
I'm trying to make some room here. Trying to back this up so I don't look like.
Say hi. Say hi. You see everybody? Are you good now? See everybody? Okay, you good? Okay, now go. Go on. Go on. Come on, yeah, go. Go. Lovers?
Is that Ron or Mike that's coming up caller one?
Yeah, this is Ron.
It's Ron. Okay, I just tried calling you, Ron, so you're on now. That's good.
I'm on.
Yep. I'll just try Mike real quick.
Who is caller one?
Ron Lehman.
Here. Hello.
Oh, he just asked who caller one was, Ron, so I think that's you.
Okay, I think we have everyone here. Mike, yep, everyone's here. Chris, we can kind of operate the meeting as usual with the pledge, and then go roll call and all that.
Okay, all right, let's call the meeting to order. Rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Nations under God, indivisible,
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Layman,
Here.
Caldwell,
Here.
Clower,
Here.
Dildine,
Here.
Babbage.
Here.
All right. Minutes from the March 23rd meeting. Any questions or comments?
One thing I noticed, does it reference that it was a conference call anywhere?
That's a good point. Like we can add that as amended. We can amend that into that.
All right, just in case anybody.
That was a conference call. Yep.
Will do.
Okay, any other comments? All right, I need a motion. Accept the minutes as presented.
I'll
So
make that
moved.
motion. This is Bob.
Mike said,
This is Ron. I'll second.
Okay, motion by Bob, seconded by Ron. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right. Any correspondence, Mike?
No, we did not have any correspondence. And
Public
we did
comment?
not receive any public comment, and the way we were going to have the public comment was via email, but we did not receive any.
Okay, great. Commissioners' reports. Dennis, anything to report?
No.
Ron Lehman, anything to report?
No.
Mike Galdine, anything to report?
A lot of time in the Royal Trails, and it's working out nice. People seem to enjoy it. Still got some bikes out there, but we're working on it, I guess. So.
Okay, great. Good to hear. Bob Babich, anything to report?
Nothing this month.
Okay, I have nothing as well. Let's move on to the treasurer's report. Tracy, anything you want to highlight other than we're broke?
Well, yeah, that's the highlight here.
Yeah.
We started off the month of March looking pretty good, to be honest with you. It was the first 15 days we were right on schedule, and golf looked really good. And then everything got closed. And you'll see mostly expenses. And May or April will look pretty much the same. A lot of negatives, but Mike will talk a little bit more about the cash flow as we go into it a little further, but unfortunately it is what it is right now. So.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I'll speak to this in my report.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on the treasurer's report? All right, I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented and pay any pending bills.
Mike will make
I'll
the
make
motion.
Motion by Mike, seconded by
Dennis.
Dennis. Roll call, please.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Clower,
Yes.
Babbage,
Yes.
and Galdine.
Yes.
Okay, great. Mike, you want to take us through the executive report?
Yeah, as of last Friday, we had 174,467 cash on hand. That will not get us into June. That's why at first we were looking at a tax anticipation warrant for 450,000. The biggest reason we are not doing that is because that would have to be paid for by the end of the year, and there's still a lot of unknowns. So we went the route of a promissory note, which we can pay off over 2 years. And our interest rate is going to be 2.5%, which is very good. Mike Ridoff at CIBC helped us with this. There is an ordinance under new business to pass in order to proceed with getting the loan. So that's kind of where we're at with bridging till June, which last June we received about 1.2 million in property taxes. That's when the taxes come in. That 1.2 though is primarily Will County. We'll get Grundy County. It looks like July. Grundy County is going to be even later this year. They actually sent us an email on that. So some of our challenges is really, it's hard to manage the unknown. And we have there is a little hope because of what happened in Wisconsin. The governor did extend their stay-at-home order till the end of the month. However, he is allowing golf courses to open in May. So that means all the surrounding states to us do have golf courses open. With the exception of Michigan. I don't think Michigan does, but Wisconsin, Indiana, and Iowa. Now, the governor is working in conjunction regionally with Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Indiana. So hopefully that bodes well for us. And then the golf associations, that alliance has been working with Springfield and lobbying to get golf courses open. So we're very hopeful that we're going to hear that golf courses are open. Now, with regards to the pool, we really don't know. We have reached out to our contacts at the Illinois Department of Health, Public Health. They kind of they're being kind of kept in the dark because their supervisors don't want them, saying something to the public that isn't entirely true. Kristen and I did talk today that there might not be a likelihood, just because chairs, if someone had to give CPR, there's different risks there. So we don't have any guidance as of yet. We are canceling our preschool because all schools were closed. So we'll have to give some refunds there, and we're postponing others. The only big event that I'll wait till the first week of May, but we should cancel the 4th of July. That's 4,000 to 5,000 people. And we'll wait till May to see some guidance, but I don't think we'll be back to that larger groups. And I'd rather do it earlier rather than later. So I'll let the board know via email just to get some concurrence. But I think that's the right move to do. Also, one of the
Mike, I got a question. Do we lose any money on that? Do we lose a deposit, or does it just roll to the next year?
I think we can roll the band to next year. I think we can roll our firework contract to next year. I don't know that 100%. I actually look at it, it's going to be about a $15 savings for us. The fireworks alone are $12,000. Then staffing would take us up, and band would take us up to about $15,000 is kind of a good estimate. So
Okay.
I look at that as a good savings for us, especially since money is really tight.
Yeah, Mike, this is Ron. Do we have any donor money that was already taken in?
I'll let Jen speak to that, because she does our sponsorship. Jennifer, did we have any donor money taken in?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Now, donation money from the foundation?
No, for the 4th.
Oh, yeah.
Sponsorships for the 4th.
We had one that was set to sponsor, but we haven't collected the money yet. So I'll just contact them and see if there's something else they would like to sponsor. We hadn't sent out our summer sponsorship solicitation when everything shut down because I'm not sure what events we're going to have that we can have sponsorship for. So as soon as we know better what we can and can't do, excuse me, this summer, then we'll start looking for sponsorships at that point.
Okay, thank you.
So each of the staff will have updates in their area, specifically what they've been working on because of the pandemic and how it affects our areas throughout the park district, but I'll let them report on that. The next thing that we'll be looking to do, this comes out of our board retreat back in February. We saw some models for refinancing and restructuring our bonds. I am recommending we restructure our bonds, and I provided that for you, Series 2020A. You'll see the timeline on that in your packet, where we have to start this in June. Yep, we have to start this in June, where we draft an authorizing ordinance. What really happens after we follow the timeline, which will be guided through SPEAR, we have another opportunity to improve our cash flow by going with the model that was put in your board packet. That would have a bond payment due in December of $273,658. If we didn't restructure, we would have had a bond payment this fall at $543,189. So what this refinancing gets us, it gets us around 3.4, 3.5. However, we could have upwards of a $300,000 savings through this restructuring in this year, which we can apply to next year. So it'd be more like having 3.7 available for our projects. But that can change because of market. The bond market is obviously really volatile now. But by the time
I lost you.
Dennis, mute your microphone, Dennis. Hit mute.
Where's it at?
There you go. Try and talk, Mike. We lost you.
how long did I go? Oh, I'm not sure when I muted. What was the last? I apologize. When was the last time? What was the last part I was talking about?
Volatile bond market.
Yes, the bond market is volatile right now. It should recover. We should start seeing a rebound according to Spear in the fall. So some of these numbers can improve. They probably won't necessarily worsen. So we would see anywhere between 3.5 and about 4 million that we should be able to capture through restructuring, refinancing for our capital projects. And right now, the capital projects that we are recommending as a priority would be Arroyo Trails, the townhome, the golf course renovation, and a pool renovation. We have the other recommendation, obviously, would be not to go to referendum this fall. We can go to referendum in 2 to 3 years for other improvements that we have talked about, potentially to the field house. But because of the environment we find us in, we think that it makes the most sense. It will not change the tax rate. However, it will extend our debt out till 2042. That's kind of what this does.
Okay. Yeah, I think at this point, it's probably our best alternative.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do, though, if we go this route, which I think we're going to, we need to really once we figure out exactly what the proceeds will be, we need to put a very detailed plan together on what we think we're going to do with that money.
Yeah, we already are in the process of that plan, Chris. The board approved working with Williams Architects a couple of months ago. They will have a pretty solid plan to us in May that I should be able to present at the May board meeting that will show all the costs to these. But we have them focusing on golf, Arroyo Trails, and the pools where we have them focusing now. We took the field house out of that. So they should have floor plans, cost, so the board can see those numbers and make a decision on how they would like to prioritize and what direction we should go in with those proceeds when we restructure. So that should be, that report should be, I've asked them to have that ready by our May board meeting.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, this is Ron. Mike, I think you've done a good job in reviewing everything. I think that promissory note was excellent. And I agree with you. If we're going to do anything over the next couple of years, a referendum right now would be out of the way. So I think to move forward, this is the best way to go.
Otherwise, the rest of my report's kind of, everything's still closed, with the exception of our parks. The grounds are closed. We left our trails open. We've done a lot of messaging out there. We have signs out, yard signs along our trails. We can add some more. We're also ordered no biking signs for Arroyo Trails. But Arroyo Trails has been very busy, very popular. Also, the construction at Arroyo Trails is full force. They poured concrete for the shelter, for footings. We're not putting a shelter in. They have concrete poured for the donor plaza. So they're moving pretty good. It looks like they'll start the retaining wall also relatively soon. So that's really taking shape up there.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Any questions on executive director's report? All right, let's go to staff. Mike Huber, you want to kick us off with golf?
Yeah, so as Tracy kind of mentioned, we had some really good things starting to happen here in March. As I put in my report, we saw some very positive numbers compared to prior year. On the golf side of the operation, obviously with food never opening, we still struggled there. And now we're coming into some really interesting times. I'm starting to get some calls from some golf outings to try to figure out what, if anything, can be done for this year. So I'm working through that with those folks. Obviously, we're looking for more guidance, looking for the governor to make some determination of how long we're going to have to stay closed and kind of go from there. I've been doing a whole lot of research, following listservs and attending webinars for best practices so that when we are able to open, we're ensuring the safety of both our guests and our staff. One of the things that's coming up, and I wanted to talk to the board briefly about this tonight, is it's becoming very apparent that if we do get to use golf carts, there's going to be a significant amount more labor as well as material expense to address sanitation and cleanliness of the carts. So one of the things I wanted to bring up is we're probably going to have to look at raising our golf cart fee, which you guys approved in January at $18 per person. And right now, I think that's going to have to go to $20, but I want to put that out there as we look at, the overall cost of how this is going to impact us. We did a few things here so far to try to generate some revenue while we're closed. We created the Bluffs Green Fee Pass. That's live on our website. People can purchase it there. So far, no one's purchased it, which isn't completely shocking since nobody knows when we might get to play golf again. But we're hopeful once we get open, people may find that as an interesting product. That's something we're piloting this year. See how it goes. It may be something we bring back next year. I've put together a couple other programs, one of which we definitely need to be open to run, but it's a range program. It's a subscription-based program, so you get into it monthly. We do a charge EFT. I think that's something that will work really well here. I've used it at other facilities and saw really large gains in our driving range revenue, so I think that'll be a nice thing to pilot here and see how that works. Something that I came across Friday and think would be good to put into place, so I'm working on right now, is a gift card promotion to try to sell some gift cards online while we have set up some sources where we can sell golf balls, and there's some other goods that are now coming online that I'm looking at. It won't be a huge windfall, but it's certainly a way of generating some revenue while we're closed. So we got that program up. I believe Abigail was going to get that up and running this afternoon. So looking forward to some returns there. I do want to add, I'm very proud of the full-time staff that's here. Everybody has done whatever they've needed to work through this situation. I want to thank Mike Leonard for coming out and helping us with maintaining the course. I've got 3 guys in grounds maintenance right now and myself that have been here the last 3 weeks, and we've been trying to maintain the course so that when we do get open, we're healthy and the turf's in good shape. We also brought back our 2 of our full-time folks, Mark Uribe, our assistant golf pro. He came back today, as well as Brian Krolak, our new food and beverage manager, came back today with the effort of getting prepared for when we can reopen. And I had a nice meeting with those gentlemen, and they both agreed that whatever we need to do, whether it's in the normal scope of our kind of job description or not, we're going to do it to make sure we can be as successful as possible.
And Mike made a really good point, and it was a point I made at our Meatheads meeting last week, is as full-time staff, we have to really limit how many part-timers we bring on. So if that means I go out once every 2 weeks and help mow fairways, or Caitlin goes and Kristen helps her stripe the soccer fields, so because Pat doesn't have his part-timers, we're all going to have to jump in and do that in order to get through this. There's no task that is off the table for any of us. We just have to all chip in, and everyone's willing to do it. We'll come together strong. I full confidence in that, and we've already seen it, which is quite awesome. That's what it's going to take us to get us through this crisis. We're not the only ones that have to deal with these things. But I do want to go back to the golf cart. We just want to kind of inform you. We believe that's going to be necessary. It'll be short term until we can go back to going with 2 people to a cart, because that's typically where you get your revenue. And $2 is nominal, which would just allow us to recoup some of the costs, which I think we're going to have to do. I don't necessarily think it requires a vote, just somewhat of a consensus from the board, because we're going to go back to the approved fees as soon as we get through this crisis.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we need to do something to offset that. And who knows, there may be some more stipulations that the governor puts on us. I think I heard in Wisconsin, no carts at all, but I could be wrong there.
Yeah, I think we're going to see come May, we're going to see walking only. And then maybe you're gonna transition into 1 person in the cart, and you just keep transitioning through it. But I would be surprised, knowing how the governor's been very conservative all along, that he will allow carts, but we could be wrong.
Yeah.
And hopefully we are. But getting any golfers out there is a good thing.
Right.
And I concur with Mike. My only hope with the golf carts is back in March, when there were some revisions to the stay at home that came out very briefly and then were overturned, but single rider carts were allowed at that time. So I think Mike is probably right. He's probably going to allow us to come back very conservative with walking, but I don't know that that'll be an awfully long-term thing that he has us do. Obviously we need much more guidance, since it is a governor's order where we're at right now. We need them to clarify what we're going to be able to do, but we're really prepared to maneuver in whichever way we need to go once that happens.
Another thing, we were part of a webinar by the golf industry today. And one of the things with carts that we will be able to do is we can allow same households to be in 1 cart. So if a father and son come out, they can be in 1 cart. And way we would identify them is by putting a flag on it. So people don't jump to an assumption, well, how come they were allowed? Well, the flag will tell you that they're from the same household. So we can kind of manage that from a PR standpoint. But that was an idea that came out of today's seminar, which I thought was pretty intriguing. So you would have some that can go out together, but they would have to be in the same household. So
depending on what the governor says.
Well, correct. Depending on what the governor says.
What's really wild in this is just how widespread the differences are in our industry right now. We've got certainly everybody is taking some new precautions in dealing with the new normal, with stepped up, sanitizing and cleanliness and social distancing and everything across the country where they're open, which right now happens to be just slightly less than half of the courses in the nation. But from state to state, it's so wide varying what governors have allowed. But the good thing is, we're not open. We're able to gather all this information and have it here ready and prepared. So whatever our governor decides to allow us to do, we're ready to go forward.
Okay, good.
Hey, Mike, can I just jump in there for a second? Mike, this is Bob. just wondering, have you talked with any of your peers at courses that are open outside of the state, just to get a sense of is business up, is business down, is it flat? Any thoughts there?
I haven't talked to anybody personally, but everything that I'm seeing, including the webinar conference that Mike and I attended today, says that they are doing really well where they're open. It's very, very busy, overwhelmingly busy in most places. I've seen a couple different studies out there. The National Golf Foundation did one. I wrote about that in my report. There was another one that was in the webinar today that all indications seem to say that golfers are willing and ready to come out and golf once they're given the opportunity.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that was my thought, that there's going to be a lot of pent up demand. I think if the governor lets anybody do anything, I think we're going to see a good turnout. So also great thought on the greens fee pass. I think that's I'm hoping that, obviously without the course being open, we don't know how that's going to be received, but great idea. Hopefully that gets some traction once we get playing again.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pilot. We can always adjust it in the future if it doesn't work this year. I think it is over the long term, as I think I mentioned in my report, anything that we can do to weatherproof ourselves, which collecting green fees up front does, is something we should certainly look at.
And one of the ideas Mike had come up with today when we were talking today, if we don't sell that greens fee pass, we can go into July and turn that into a subscription, much like we're going to be doing the driving range, where there would be a monthly fee for a monthly greens fee pass. So there are things we can do later in the year, which wouldn't be the whole year. We would treat it month by month, which could be another opportunity to get golfers in and get revenue in. So that seems to be something that's going to be could potentially be a new trend in the golf business. Not just because of the crisis we're in, but those models are starting to test out and pilot those models to see if they work, where they become more like a health club type model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. Plus,
Really?
it takes the sting out of that big chunk. That $2,000 check. You can do it monthly. Maybe it's $200 a month or whatever it is. I don't know what that would be, but yeah.
And I think that's
is that many of this is what's old is new. In the 80s and 90s, when golf courses were growing and being built and everybody wanted to be involved in them, one of the big things that happened was these passes. And it's kind of fallen out of fashion in really the last 10 to 15 years for public facilities to offer these kind of passes. But we're kind of retreading them now, looking at them in a new light. Some of the technology helps us be able to allow these subscriptions, which would have been really difficult to manage, 10, 15 years ago, having to reach out to everybody, bill manually, that kind of stuff. So, that's the other thing that we're really looking at is what technologies do we have that we can leverage better? And are there other technologies out there that will make us even more efficient and provide a better or different customer service than what we've been able to do, with some prepaid and things like that. So looking forward to researching those.
Okay. Anybody else want to highlight anything?
I'll have Jennifer and Kristen both talk to their areas. Jennifer?
I had to unmute myself. Marketing's been pretty busy. Our communication to the public has mostly been social media and emails. Abby's been doing a really good job of having different contests, updating on changes going on. She has a dog named Axel. So if you see Axel the intern, that was created actually by accident. She was taking her dog out, and then she would pose a picture with him next to whatever she was reporting. And because pets and kids draw people on social media, and she doesn't have any kids, so she brought her dog, and now her dog is recognized in the community, and people stop and talk to her about the dog now. So people are kind of catching on to that. We started calling him an intern because he's on lots of the posts. One of the first ones that she did about Arroyo Trails got shared, I'm not sure how many times. I was trying to look it up real quick, but I remember it getting shared by a couple of school districts. So she's doing a great job with all the social media stuff. Our program and service guide, the summer one, is going to be delivered to the post office tomorrow. It's 3 weeks later than when it was originally supposed to go out. We will begin taking registrations May 4th, whether our building is open or not. We can take them online, by mail, and by fax. So regardless of whether the shelter in place is lifted, we will start taking those registrations. I saw a couple of funny things on Facebook about the mental health of people in golf, which I thought was funny. A wife posted that it would be her husband needs some mental health recovery from all of the staying inside, and she really would like the golf course opened, and if his mental health is better, hers will be better too, because they've just been together too much. So we've gotten a lot of action on Facebook and Twitter, and we're starting with Instagram also. So we've been pretty busy over here in marketing, trying to get everyone informed and engaged, so that when we are able to reopen, that we're ready to go and have all that information communicated to the public.
I do have to say, marketing is our gatekeeper, and their messaging has been very strong for us throughout this whole thing. So Jennifer and Abby have and all of us, but marketing has strong messaging for us out in the community, and that's very important because they're kind of our gatekeeper, and they're our public image, and they've been doing a very good job for us. So it's kind of neat to have a full marketing team now, and I think that's going to pay dividends as we move forward and try to get consumer confidence back. They're going to be a real important piece to this, getting people back into the groove. So great job, Jennifer.
Good. Thanks, Jennifer. Kristen?
Yeah, I don't really know where to begin. We've worked heavily with marketing just to keep people informed of what classes we have to cancel and which ones we're going to try to keep pushing back. The one we're trying to hang on to right now is soccer. It's a massive program for us. And we've pushed it back and for the games to start in June. And yeah, we have to cancel preschool. That's a very large program. After the Bell, our after school program, and some other types of programs that are school based like that we're going to have to cancel. You guys kind of see my list. We've just sort of moved month to month to month, which ones we have to cancel, which ones we continue to defer. We'll continue to do that. We're just kind of in a holding pattern. I have all my staff, they're constantly in aquatic roundtables, day camp roundtables. Without any direction from the state, we don't really know what to plan for. So we just continue to hope for the best. Mike and I have talked a lot about the pool. We'll have to make some hard decisions, even if we can open. Should we? There's significant cost to even just opening the doors of the pool. So that'll have to be discussed with the board. They're even saying going so far as not even having deck chairs, concession operations. It's pretty hard to get your head around it. It's a very staff intensive facility. So we'll really have to make some informed financial decisions of what we want to do. But the state might just come in and tell us we can't open. So we really don't know. We're kind of all hanging on to May 1st as hopefully a date that we can start planning around. If they told us tomorrow we could open the fitness center, we would be able to. We're ready. Our facilities are cleaned, sanitized, and we're just kind of waiting for the state to tell us what we can do. But if you have any questions about the programs, the ball field rentals, I mean, it's extensive. Please ask, and I'll try to fill you in as much as I can.
Kind of on what Kristen's talking about, it's kind of a philosophical struggle a little, and it's part of what we went through in developing our new mission, vision, and values. One of the things that we do is we bring people together, and that's exactly what you shouldn't do in this crisis. So we have to learn how to bring people together, but the new caveat is to be socially distanced. But we have to concentrate on the social part, not the distance part, because we want to bring people socially together. But we have to do that with the distance. I do think Kristen and her team have done a good job. They did that bunny ride around. I have to say Angie, Paulina, and Caitlin did a buddy ride around. Nicole had preschool teachers in parking spaces out in our parking lot today, and then the preschool kids came by and were able to wave to their teachers. And Caitlin also is starting to figure out how we can offer online gaming tournaments. So hopefully we will be able to launch that in I'd give it about 2 weeks, but we hope to launch some gaming tournaments that kids can register for. It'd be a nominal fee, just $5, probably $10. I'm not sure how they're structuring that right now, but we're looking for new ways to reinvent ourselves. And that's kind of the new reality. And the nice thing about new realities is you become better at what you do and you become stronger through it. We are very much learning the importance of technology, from being able to work from home to virtual programming, to our software. Our software has been very challenging. It doesn't have the features we need to do what we need to do during this time of crisis. We had to go out and create our own refund form because we couldn't do it through our current rec software. So next year, I really believe we're going to move and recommend to the board we really focus on our technology. I think it's glaring now that I don't want to say weak, but we're not as proficient and don't have the best product to serve our residents.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
No, I agree. It's definitely a vulnerability, and we should probably address it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mike, this is Ron. Looking ahead, when Kristen said you're kind of putting your hopes on May 1st, I got to thinking, how many of our part-time staff are we kind of in a position where if you need people, they're still coming in to help us, still staying on our payroll, or any indication we're losing somebody?
Very limited part-time right now. We'll bring him in as we know what we can be offering. We haven't necessarily lost anybody, but we're not necessarily for our seasonal hiring them back. For instance, the golf course. We're not going to hire back the number of seasonal workers that we've had in past years. We just can't afford to. Same thing with camp. We're going to have to learn to manage it maybe more with some full-timers. And maybe instead of having 8 in a group, we go to 10 to a group, because then we don't have to bring as many staff in. Not doing any field trips if camp comes back. So those are all the types of things we have to consider to control cost.
Yeah, thank you. That's good.
Okay. I think that's probably it for staff reports. I think Pat didn't have much there on the end. Let's go to old business, or no, let's do people for the park. Do we have anything there?
Just have a summary from Beth. there on, what's going on with, I'm trying to get it up here. It kind of looks at the campaign. We were going to have a donor appreciation on Friday, May 9th, but it has been agreed that that will be postponed. We're hopeful that it can be done in September, but the value to moving that event to September is the Royal Trails should be complete. So they'll have some opportunity. For instance, we don't have a shelter that is funded. We'll have the shelter pad where we can have the event on, and maybe we can get, you know, a sponsorship or donation to build the shelter. So there could be a real value to having it in September. And then Beth is going to go back to the National Association of Park Foundation School, so long that it's not canceled, but she does have intention of going there.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Ron. This is Ron, and I just wanted to pass on at the foundation meeting, and that putts and suds thing was very successful this year. I'm not quite sure exactly how much money it brought into the foundation, but I think it was 35 plus, and maybe Mike, you know more about that than I do.
I had
But
that
the thing I
number.
wanted to really comment was everybody there has at one time or another been out on the Rio Trail, and they say it's really been a lot of people, and everybody was picking up on the same thing. They're getting a lot of good comments on it.
Sure. Jennifer, do you know how much Butts and Sons raised?
I thought it was 35 or 36. I can't remember the exact number, but roughly between 35 and 40.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Old business, I don't think we have anything there.
Nope, no old business.
So let's move on to new business. Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about the ordinance? I know we touched on it. I don't know if there's anything else we need to add.
The ordinance just is what the board has to pass in order to approve the loan. And then there are loan documents that we will have you sign. Ron signed some today. And once we get them back from Ron tomorrow morning, we'll pick them up. We'll have you come in, Chris. Assuming that you pass the ordinance, we'll have you come in and sign those. But it's just kind of the legalese of an ordinance. We've been working with Ansel Glink and Adam Simon, our attorney, on all of this paperwork. He's reviewed all the loan documents. We don't have any fees, and it's 2.5%. That should bridge us to June, and then I'm just worried we're not out of the woods until we're out of the woods, and I wish I can tell you when we're out of the woods financially, but there's just too much unknown to know when that will happen.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, we're hopeful.
Okay, is anybody have any questions on the promissory note?
I'll make a motion that we adopt that promissory note. I don't know what the ordinance number is, Mike, but whatever it is.
Yeah, Tracy will sign that. I'm not sure what number we're on either.
Okay.
It's more than likely 01/2020 because that's our first one, and I think that's how we numbered them because that's our first ordinance of the year. Correct?
It's actually 372. I looked it up this afternoon and forgot to put it on
okay.
this document.
All right.
Okay, Ron makes a motion. I need a second.
I'll second it. Mike?
Motion by Ron, seconded by Mike to accept the ordinance for $450,000 promissory note. Roll call, please.
Babbage,
Yes.
Geldine,
Yes.
Clower. He's muted, but he looked like he said yes. Caldwell.
Shake your head, Dennis. Shake your head.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, and Lehman.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, great.
The next.
Go ahead, Mike. Nope, go ahead. I was just going to move to the parks bond.
Yep.
The Go Parks bond?
Yeah, if the board concurs that restructuring our bonds as being recommended is the way we should go, this is just an engagement letter to engage Spear as our financial advisor through this process.
Okay, do we just need do we need a motion for this?
There is a motion because there is money spent. There are fees that go to
Okay.
Spear.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll make that motion. Mike?
Any second?
This is Ron. I'll second it.
All right, motion by Mike, seconded by Ron to accept the Go Parks bond with Spear Financial. Roll call.
Before they vote, Chris, I will just let you know, it's the fees are $5,500 plus a quarter of 1% of the securities in excess of $750,000 is how the fee is structured.
Okay. Okay. Dennis, hit the button up at the top, the microphone. It'll unmute you. Now talk. No.
Now try it.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
All right. Roll call, please, Tracy.
Clower,
Yes.
Dildine,
Yes.
Babbage,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes.
Okay. Use of recreational facility and program. I
We
think
had
we
just updated this policy late last year, early this year, but we did have commissioners having golf privileges. There is a group called the Edgar County Watchdogs that FOIA does. They FOIA a lot of park districts and courses every year, but they wrote an article on how they believe golf is a compensation for park district commissioners. So my recommendation is we just take the board of commissioners off of the personnel policy, but it is as elected officials, it is, I believe, the responsibility and prerogative of board members to go and inspect the operation at any time they want. So the way I say we can handle that is anytime you want to come out, just get a hold of Mike and we will set that up for you, as it's very important for board members to go and inspect our course and our operation. But our process will be for board members and commissioners to reach out to Mike when you want to do that. And this could be a voice vote.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? All right. Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, because we're changing the personnel policy, but it could be
Yeah.
a voice vote.
Okay.
Just all in favor. Yep.
Yep. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded by Mike.
Motion by Dennis, seconded by Mike to accept the use of recreational facilities and programs amendment. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so passed. Then it looks like the last thing we have is capital assets policy.
Yeah, but I'll just have Tracy speak to that real quickly.
This is a policy that our new auditors recommended that we put on the books. We never had anything like this before, but it's basically talking about how we value our assets through depreciation and capitalization, and basically outlining what we've already been doing and making it, a procedure rather than just with the way we've been doing it. So we didn't see any issues with adding this to our board manual. We're hoping that, this will help the auditors understand that we obviously didn't realize we didn't have it. So but we've already been doing all of this, just so you know. It's just putting it on the books.
I
Sure.
am recommend though, and look, during our budget process for 2021, potentially looking at an auditor accountant, that specializes in inventory to come in and do a full inventory of our assets. So we can, come with a true baseline. And then it would be up to department heads to, manage that year to year. We didn't quite get that. I think you agree, Tracy, from our last auditor.
Right, they did it a lot more in groups. They just kind of made a number, you know, and they added all of our new stuff every year, and they didn't necessarily create a database for us. So we have a database, but it does not match what our auditors are saying, which is part of the reason that we need to get this up and running. We're hoping by the end of the year to go out to bid and see if we can put that on next year's agenda to get this system up and running. Paderma also requires us to have a better asset inventory than what we've had. They've been after us for a little while. It's not anything, you know, crucial or, you know, that we're in trouble over. It's just we need to clean up some more stuff. And we knew this going into with the auditors that they were going to have some questions and concerns about our current inventory system. So
So it's just us moving toward best practices.
yes.
What this is.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? I need a motion to accept the capital asset policy as written.
I'll make that motion.
I need a second.
Second by Mike.
Motion by Dennis, seconded by Mike. All in favor? Aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so passed. Nothing for closed session, right, Mike?
Right, nothing for closed session.
I think that's it then, right? Anybody
Right.
have any questions? I would like to make one comment before we close. I'd like to thank the staff for all the hard work, working through all of this. Mike, especially trying to hold everything together to make sure that we're doing the right stuff when we're supposed to be, and we will move forward. And when we do, we just have to be very strategic about how we go forward. But I want to thank everybody for the hard work. Thanks.
Thank you. Chris, I'd also like to mention, if the governor does open things up, it would be my intention to try to hold an in-person board meeting here in May, because I would like to bring Williams in. It's more effective if they bring in their exhibits to go over, you know, the recommendation of the building. It'll also give me some opportunity to talk about some real estate in closed session. We don't need we didn't need to go in closed session tonight. But we will, May will be important for us to try to meet in person. So.
Okay. Yep, I think we can do that. All right, if nobody has any more questions, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that
moved.
motion.
I'll
Motion by
second it.
Ron, seconded by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Hey, Chris.
Thank you.
what is this?
Yeah,
It's worked well.
What's this?
that's my COVID beard.